Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Hello, friends. So I've been asked to talk today about dana and a couple of the things around dana. For instance, the quality of the dana, like the quality of the merit that you give, that you get depending on who you give the dana to and things like this. Right? So this is quite a complicated topic because it's dealing with kama. It's dealing with karma and merit and things like this. And the Buddha tells us that it's, for the average person especially, it's very hard to see the full workings of these kind of things. And different monks will tell you different things depending on the tradition and the country and things like that. But what I'll talk to you today is what I understand as dana according to what I see in the suttas. Right? So dana, as we know, is a very meritorious deed. So this word, this Pali word, punna, right? It means meritorious, good deed, right? So this word merit, that is the English word, right? This is essentially means a deed that is worthy of praise. Like this is a really good deed that you've done, right? And in Buddhism, something that's very punya, very meritorious, is not just giving something, but how we act and how we live in the world and following our precepts and all these kind of things. So this word simply means something that is very well done, a very good deed. Right? And people who want to practice dana for developing merit, right? There's lots of intentions that arise, lots of thoughts of how shall I give merit, who shall I give merit to, who should I not give merit, who should I not give dana to. All of these kind of things arise in the mind. And so traditionally, what has come down is that people want to give dana to the monastics who are said to be enlightened, or whoever's the most senior monastic is, right? Because they feel that this will bring them the most return. It's kind of like when you're dealing with the stock market, it's like, what's going to give you the most return for your money, right? What's the most return for our actions? And this is legitimate. In the suttas, the Buddha actually gives a whole list, a tiered list of the giving and the amount of merit that is gained. Right? And one of the things that we should understand actually is not necessarily that we should chase after what gives us the most merit, but to understand that all of these things give us much good karma, much good merit. Right? On the very bottom of the list, who do you think is on the very bottom of the list that the Buddha gives for giving to them, having dana to them is a meritorious deed? If you're thinking it's some kind of human, you haven't gone low enough. Actually, it's animals. On this list, at the very bottom of the list, the Buddha says that being good to animals, taking care of them, giving something to animals is actually a meritorious deed. Right? That's very interesting to know, isn't it? And then, as we go up higher, even giving to somebody who's a really bad person, who's a criminal, who does things bad, giving to them is a meritorious deed. Even better than giving to animals. And then it goes higher in terms of station, in terms of caste, but also in terms of their actions. In society, the more virtuous a person is, the more merit it is to give to them. But even still, even giving to the lowest of persons is still a meritorious deed. A very good thing. And so then we get into the Sangha. Giving to a junior monk is meritorious. And giving to a senior monk is more meritorious. Giving to a whole Sangha of monks, a whole community, is meritorious. Then giving to a stream enterer, right? Somebody who has attained the first level of awaken is meritorious. And then a once returner, a non-returner. Given to an arahant is meritorious. And then giving to an arahant and the community of monks is meritorious. Then, even higher than that, giving to a Buddha is meritorious. The Buddha tells in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, when Chunda gives Buddha the last meal that the Buddha ends up getting poisoned by, and could you imagine what you would feel like if you gave dana to a Buddha and that caused them to die? How would you feel about that? But the Buddha says, no. The two most meritorious danas are giving the last meal to a being before they become a Buddha, and the last meal to a being before they become a parinibbana, before they become fully extinguished. Right? So giving to the Buddha in these two ways. We can't do that today. There's no Buddha around. But we can give. So the Buddha, and even above a Buddha, giving to a Buddha, is to give to the Buddha and the community of monastics around the Buddha. Right? So this is this tiered list that the Buddha gives to us. Right? And we should understand the importance. Even giving to just the Buddha is giving to the Buddha and the community, the Sangha around the Buddha. Why is that? Right? The important reason why we support monastics is because monastics are part of the whole that keeps the teachings going, keeps Buddhism alive. Right? We have the fourfold assembly. Men and women monastics, men and women lay people. Right? There's no Buddhism without monastics. There's no Buddhism without the lay people. Right? Those two groups come together. So for a lay person to support the fourfold assembly is to support the continuation of the existence of this Dhamma in the world. Right? That is why the Buddha puts giving to monastics, giving to Buddhas and Arahants and such to be so high. Right? Because it allows this teaching to be around in the world. And so you supporting, keeping this teaching alive in the world is a very beneficial thing. How much of a good compassion and goodwill for all beings is that you want to make sure that this teaching keeps going in the world. Very, very important. But we should also understand and remember that giving to the monks is not just the only thing on the list. The Buddha wants us, when he talks about dana, right, to be not like a local shower, not like a local rain that just rains on certain people, but to be like a storm that rains down on the highlands and the lowlands too. Right? To give, somebody who wants to give. Right? And we know Anathapindika is the role model for us in this regard. Right? Even before he became the foremost giver to the Sangha, right? The foremost supporter of the Sangha. He got his name because he was the foremost supporter of people in the city. Right? Anathapindika was the nickname they gave to him, giver of alms to the poor. So he was practicing giving. Even before there was a Bhikkhu Sangha, a Bhikkhuni Sangha, even before the Buddha was around, he was practicing this. And so, the story goes that he became poor because he kept giving so much. He kept lending money out to people and they wouldn't pay him back. And he kept giving, that he lost almost all of it. He became poor and he still kept giving. Right? So this is a lesson for us, right? That we want to develop giving. Right? And of course, there might be our mind wants to go, we should go right to the top, right? We're just going to give more and more and more to the people who are going to give us the most merit. And for a long time, I thought, oh yeah, that's not really, because I'm thinking of the rest of the Buddhist teachings and intention, and I'm thinking that's not really because that's an intention for gain, right? Not to give, but really to kind of get, right? But then I read a sutta. I found a sutta where the Buddha says, no, even if your intention is to gain something, it's still a meritorious deed. It's not as meritorious as if your intention was to just give because giving is good. Give for the sake of giving. It's not as meritorious, but it's still meritorious. So this should give a good lesson to us. That we want to practice giving because giving is good, to help people in need, to help the continuation of the Sangha, and also to practice working with our intentions for giving so that we move slowly away from thinking that we're going to get something for it. Right? It's not bad. You're not a bad Buddhist or a bad person because of this. This is natural. This is how the mind works. Right? But we're understanding that it's even better to want to be like that huge shower, the Buddha says, that showers down rain on all beings, right? Not just the highlands and the lowlands, so not these people, but not these people. So practicing generosity, practicing dana, it's a very good thing. This helps us to practice letting go. It helps us to develop skillfulness in our mind. And supporting the Sangha is a very good thing. Right? Even supporting a bad monk is a good thing. Not as good as supporting a good monk. Right? But even giving to a criminal, an animal, all of these things are good things. There's just more merit to give to the Sangha so that the teachings can be around to benefit the most people. right? And not all of us have a lot to give, so we become strategic with what we give. And we think, well, if this is all I can give, well, let me put it to the best place where it's going to be of the most use. That's a very understandable, normal thing. So that's what we do. We want to give it to this person. But what we should make sure that we do, that we don't do, is miss out on opportunities to give because we're not thinking about giving to these people. We want to give to that person, right? Like, for instance, in my monastery that I, grew up in as a monk, as a junior monk, right? My preceptor, Bhante Gunaratana, in Sri Lankan Buddhism, he's among the top in terms of seniority, in terms of fame, and all these things. And people want to come and they want to give to him. So it's quite funny. I'll watch, they'll give him like 8 robes and 10 bowls and all of these kind of things. And of course, Bhante can't use all of that, can he? When everybody leaves, of course, he gives it to the community of monks. Take what you need, right? But the people want to give to him. And that's very skillful. But next time you go to a monastery, look at the robes or look at the junior monks, look at the people who are not the highest. There might be something that you can help them individually with, in addition to giving to the senior monastic, right? It's the same thing in society, right? If you see that you can help somebody who's lower on this list of merit, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to help them. You should. Be like that thunderstorm, not a local shower. Just because you get more merit doesn't mean that you should ignore the rest. You should try to be open and generous to as much people, as many situations as you can. Taking into consideration that we all have limited wealth, limited time, limited energy, and that's okay. So keep this in mind as we decide how we want to practice dana and the merit that accrues. It's very good to support the Sangha. And hopefully the Sangha also supports you through teaching and counseling and lending an ear to your troubles. It's a very good relationship to help out this Sangha, and the lay people and the laity and the Sangha, the monastics, keep the Dhamma alive for the benefit of all beings. Very good. But don't forget everybody else as well. If you see an opportunity to help, take that opportunity. That's an opportunity to develop, to do a meritorious deed. That's a very good thing. Okay, friends, I think that's all I have to say about dana. So go out in the world and be very meritorious. Do lots of good deeds for the benefit of all beings. Thank you.